All right, guys. So Vergil Ortiz, he was on. He did an interview with this tandem of boxing reporters who worked for the Zone. One's a Black American, the other I think he looks to be a like light skinned Black American. I know he might have some Latin American in him. I could be wrong. Could be Puerto Rican. I don't know if that's considered Latin America. I forgot their names, but they interviewed my favorite fighter, Vergil Ortiz, my fighter that I root for, one of my favorite fighters. And it was a dope interview. I know it happened probably a while ago. I liked it. I think it was good timing the way they dropped it. It wasn't very popular. I don't think he's not the most popular fighter, not yet at least. He does put on some wars and battles, and he's a fighter. He's gonna be aggressive when he fights. I think he could show a little bit more skill. He could be a little more slick with it, not take so many punches. I feel that he has to, like lean on the guy so much because a lot of his fights it's like he's leaning on the guy, and he hasn't got. He started off getting a lot of knockouts. Mm. Oh. He did beat up Israel Madrimov towards the end of the fight. I like to see something a little more slick. I would like to see a little more display of skill. Well, the interview talked about him, which was very interesting and surprising that he was going to leave Robert Garcia's gym to go fight with Canelo because he couldn't get no sparring. But they ended up fixing it and figuring it out. So now he's back with Robert Garcia. I think this was when he went with, is it Manny Robles? I don't think it's Manny Robles. But the guy that was training Andy Ruiz, which he trained out of, I think, Southgate. And he got sick a couple times. He didn't like the way they took care of him when he got sick, so he came back to Robert Garcia. So I think in between, after being sick, I think, or leaving Robert, going to that one gym in Southgate, in between there, and then supposed to go to Canales, I think, or maybe even recently. I'm not sure. He didn't really, it wasn't, he didn't give us that detail. That would have been interesting. Man. I wonder how that would have turned out. I think his dad obviously would have trained him. It would have just been going somewhere to get that sparring, get that experience from Canelo, sparring Canelo all the time, and just, I mean, dealing with that, dealing with the sparring Canelo gets, and seeing how a top elite fighter takes care of himself and the amount of investment he puts in him, and that would have just trickled down to, I mean, Canelo probably would have recommended some people to that would have worked with Vergil Ortiz. That would have brought notoriety to Vergil Ortiz. I think that's might be a good move still to make, right? Um, and the honesty of Vergil Ortiz saying that nobody wanted to spar me at that gym showed confidence, borderline of people. Some people would call it arrogant, but Vergil was kind of not like that. But he's kind of subtle with it. That would have been very interesting if that would have something that would happen in his career, and might still. I mean, he's only 35 years old, Canelo. Has some fights left in him, I know, and yeah, it was pretty cool. So they recently announced he was supposed to. They said he's gonna fight Boots Ennis in January. I hope it does happen. Boots Ennis just it has a new fight, or his fight just got announced like a day or two after Eddie Hearn put out. I don't know if it was a tweet or an Instagram post that him and Vergil, Boots Ennis and Vergil have agreed to a January fight, which might be true. Virgil's supposed to fight in October, and if that happens, I mean, November, December, January, 3 months after that would not be bad, right? It just depends the kind of opponent Vergil will be getting. Him versus Boots Ennis. Boots Ennis is still at 147. He wants one more fight, maybe a couple more to maybe unify. I'm not really sure. He just has a new fight coming up at the 147, so I could be wrong. If I'm wrong on the weight, just let me know. Because again, I'm a fan of Vergil. Boots Ennis beat up Stanionis, who Vergil was supposed to fight before Vergil got sick from overtraining. Vergil in that recent interview goes into detail. Who could Vergil's fight? Who could Vergil mentioned some fighters he wanted. He mentioned Charlo. He mentioned the enigmatic, very tall and lanky Fundora, who in his rematch beat up on Tim Tszyu, who, if you go back and watch the first fight, Tim Tszyu, man, if he didn't get cut, it looked like he was after that, man. He gets knocked out. Right? He gets beat up and he loses. Gets stopped. He might have lost. I don't know. He just maybe might have won. He had a couple fights in between fighting Fundora again. Just seemed like he's not the same guy anymore. In this fight against Fundora made the adjustments. He, being the guy with the more advantages physically, he just utilized his advantages, man. He looked like he improved. Fundora did. And so Vergil Ortiz mentions Charlo. For some reason, he still wants to fight Charlo. I think the one that lost to Canelo. He fights. He fought. He mentioned Fundora, and he mentioned the guy, the very tough. I don't know if he's Ukrainian. I know he's Eastern European. I don't know if he's Russian, but he looked. He's the one that beat up on Tim Tszyu. He looks dangerous, and for Vergil to mention him, I want to see that one. Honestly, I'm more intrigued about that fight. He looks pretty dangerous. Nobody really knows about him, but he beat up on Tim Tszyu. He looks pretty fucking dangerous. And for Vergil to mention those guys, I hope he gets those fights. It could be a what's his not Sean Porter, the funny guy. He lost to Manny Pacquiao. He has a gap. Keith Thurman. It could be Keith Thurman, just because Keith Thurman has been in the boxing news recently, going at it with one of the Charlos. Yeah, he looked really good his last fight, stopping, and I think he knocked out the guy. No, he stopped him for sure. And he's just a guy people know. He talks a lot. He's annoying but entertaining. Maybe Vergil and Errol Spence. Why not? That still could be a big fight. Errol Spence hasn't fought in a while. I'm not sure why. He's supposed to fight Fundora. I'm not really sure if he's even training or not. I'm not really sure. He's having problems with his trainer, which might be the reason why he's not fighting. Who else could Vergil fight? Obviously, Boots Ennis. People are in the media. And why not Xander Zayas? I think he has a fight too, but he was talking about Vergil Ortiz. I'm sure I'm just not sure there's a lot of other fighters Vergil could fight. Let's not mention him. Anyway, I watched that interview when it came out, which is probably more than 5 days ago, about a week ago. I just didn't make a video on it. Vergil's back in the gym right now at Robert Garcia's boxing academy. Ali Setback was there today. He had a live and he asked Robert what's next for Vergil. And Vergil looks at, Robert Garcia was asked by Ali Setback. Robert Garcia, when he was asked, he looked immediately at Vergil Sr., Vergil Ortiz's father, kind of as if there's something in the works. Like one of those looks like, do I say it? And just kind of like, Vergil Ortiz's father didn't really pay attention to it. And so Robert Garcia was just letting Vergil Ortiz Sr. sort of take control of the reaction to the question by Ali Setback, and Robert Garcia says, "Oh, not really sure. Hopefully soon he'll fight in October." So again, I hope to see, because Vergil Ortiz is my favorite fighter, right? Vergil Ortiz is my favorite fighter out of Grand Prairie, Texas, out in Dallas Fort Worth area. Again, I would like to. I don't stop getting in brawls. Stop leaning against the guy. He throws fucking hard. So towards the end of the fight, he's just leaning on the guy. I don't know. He says he wants, another thing that stood out to me, he says he wants to fight till he's 35. That's like one of the, besides Canelo, Bam Rodriguez says he doesn't want to fight that long. I haven't heard. Gervonta Tank Davis is already saying he's already almost out. He's not going to fight anymore. He says he doesn't want to fight that long. I think Ronnie Garcia was saying he didn't want to fight that long. So Vergil Ortiz saying he wants to fight till 35 is sounds sort of old compared to a lot of these other fighters that have been saying they don't really want to be in the game that long. Guys are getting paid a lot more than they did like years ago. So respect to all of them. And the fighters are a lot more smarter now. I think you don't have a lot of these fighters who are like not there mentally. A lot of guys are just champions based off of discipline, not because they're like these brutish enigmas, anomalies like fucking Mike Tyson. But I don't know. I want to see some skill from Vergil. I rewatched the fight with Madrimov. Doesn't really seem that skillful. Um, yeah, I don't know. Madrimov had some moments in that fight. I'd like to see some development when it comes to Vergil Ortiz, but nonetheless, he's my favorite fighter, and I want to see him fight. So we'll see.